is looking deep down the left side. Mendeville into the end zone. Touchdown!
Down the sideline, still 40, 20 to the house.
And the players streaming from the sideline to celebrate with 17 seconds left.
Welcome in, everybody, to BVarsity Live for Thursday, April the 27th. I'm Zach Ewing, along with Trevor Horn here in TBC's downtown studios. And we are coming at you with a full hour of spring sports news and analysis. And we've got Nick Papagni from thepagmeter.com and from ESPN Radio up in Fresno joining us later on in the show. And we've also we've just got a lot to talk about. There's sports going on, postseason's flying all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, it comes to a point right now where it is the postseason. The SSL had their boys tennis league championships individual yesterday. SSL and SWIL and the SEYL have all started today and have their championships tomorrow. Swimming is next week. Track and field area or league starts next week. So, I mean, we're right into it. Tennis team brackets get released on Monday. So we're right into the thick of things.
Yeah, and it's an exciting time of year. We get it 3 times a year with the fall sports, winter sports, and now spring sports. And so, once that calendar flips to May, it is pretty much game on for most of these spring sports. And as you mentioned, tennis really starting this week with its postseason with league tournaments, but they'll get into individual area next week and some of the team playoffs and those sort of things, as well as baseball and softball wrapping up their league races. And you wrote about that yesterday, Trevor. Stockdale in the SWIL is looking like there's not only are they not going to be caught, nobody's even going to get close to them in the SWL in baseball or softball.
Yeah, and that's basically what it is. I mean, we can go through the league races right now. We could start with baseball. We have the slides coming up for those. When you look at it, Stockdale, victorious yesterday, 9-0 in baseball over Frontier. The Mustangs really are in a commanding lead right now. They have a 3-game lead over Centennial, as you could see there. Stockdale 9-1 through 10 games, so we're literally 2/3 of the way through the league season. They've got 2 weeks left, 2.5 weeks left in the regular season because they play tomorrow, and then 2 more full weeks after that.
Yeah, in fact, as you look at that, Trevor, Stockdale were to win tomorrow and Centennial were to lose to BHS, Stockdale would clinch a share of the league title right then and there, and then they could certainly clinch the outright title next week.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's
also something that we've seen
up
from the start of the season where, Liberty we thought was going to be a little bit more competitive, but injuries have really kind of taken toll. East McMurray, who still has the best ERA in the county, probably won't see the mound again this year because he took a hard slide a couple weeks ago, diving into second, and, doctor said no go, don't throw. I know Tony Mills, our head coach, was like, listen, his ceiling is too high. His career can be too long just to try to, win us a couple games this year.
And kudos to Tony Mills for that. I don't know that you see enough amateur baseball coaches, whether in high school or travel ball or college, who take care of their pitchers. You see a lot of 140 pitch counts in high school and college. You see a lot of, he's good enough to go. He's our horse. We're going to ride him. And I get that. I know you want to win, and you see that specifically at the college level. But kudos to Tony Mills for taking it easy on his ace, even though he probably could pitch. I don't think he's incapable of pitching right now, and I wonder if Easton is frustrated by the situation. But better safe than sorry when you've got a top prospect like that. There are more important things out there.
Well, and I agree. And then you also look at Matt Patton, their senior center fielder, who was one of the top hitters and run scorers in the section. In that championship game against Highland, we talked about this last week. He goes down and breaks his collarbone. And then last week, they lose another starter in Andrew Yoder, who was in a car accident. Unbeknownst to us at the time, have video of it on our website because it actually happened to be,
you were having your morning coffee and you heard something.
I was up. I was walking out of the apartment, saw the accident, felt like it was newsworthy because there were probably 10 first responders there. And it happened to be Andrew Yoder and his mother. Thankfully, they were both okay. And but it doesn't look like Andrew is going to play for the next week or so, but likely will play again this season, thankfully, after that car accident.
Yeah, pretty amazing. It was a pretty intense car accident if you look at that video on our website. So that's that's good news as well. Moving on to softball now. Stockdale softball. No, we're not going to do softball. We're going to stick to baseball
We're
here.
gonna stick to baseball and go through all four.
You're giving me like air traffic control signals over there.
You're welcome.
All right. SYL
You
baseball.
don't listen to the
That's what we're
pre-show
gonna move
notes.
on to.
That's why you don't look.
I looked at them. I just,
No,
I thought maybe
no,
we do.
No, this is what, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I have to deal with Zach. Zach.
How much time do we have left in the show? I can talk about what I have to deal with
It's
Trevor.
very much a fly by the seat of his pants.
55 minutes. That's not
Charmaine,
enough to talk about.
That was a rhetorical question, Charmaine.
That's not enough to talk about Trevor. We have 55 minutes, so just proceed.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So let's go back to
The Tehachapi
SYL.
Warriors.
Still undefeated in the SYL. And once again, they have Independence Ridgeview. It's a reoccurring theme that we've seen year in and year out, since this league was reformed 3 years ago. That is, the top three is Tehachapi, Independence, Ridgeview. West had the best non-league schedule out of these teams, but it's, I think that when you play up in your competition, you start to see a little bit more of what you're going to get in league, and Tehachapi's doing that once again, playing very well. Independence right there, Ridgeview. I know those teams will all play each other in the next 2 weeks. So, I don't know if Independence or Ridgeview can catch Tehachapi at this moment in league, but the games that they're going to get next week and the week after leading into playoffs is only going to help all three of those teams.
I will say there's no Stockdale in that league, and I don't know that the league is as deep when you look at the bottom of the SWIL, and you've still got a Frontier and a BHS and a Garces that are good teams. But that league at the top, 1 through 3, and maybe even count West 1 through 4, very strong baseball league.
Oh, it is.
Very competitive.
Definitely. When you're talking about it, 70% of the games that they're going to play in league are going to be hard-fought, really tough games.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Golden Valley East struggling, but other than that, it's a pretty good league. Yeah. So now in the SEYL, there is a runaway favorite, I believe.
No, there is not.
Oh, well, Highland and North are the kind of the co-favorites at this point.
And we will see North and Miramonte today in the O Block. So that'll be an interesting game to see. Highland still trying to chase only because they haven't played as many games as the North, because SEYL, unlike the other leagues, they have odd schedules where they don't – it's an odd number of teams because it's only 5 in this league. So North, along with rainouts and wind outs or whatever you want to call them that we've had, you've got teams that haven't played as many games. So it'll be really interesting. Highland is a team led by Blake Grider, who signed to Southwestern University to play baseball. Going up against a North team that is really kind of led again by another senior, Nate Van Tassel, who, like Grider, is that pitcher-hitter combo that you like to see at the high school level, a guy that can hit, go out into the field, and then pitch when he's not in the field.
And I will say, if you are a high school baseball fan, not necessarily of a particular school, but of a high school baseball fan, and you're looking for something to do, I know the SWL doesn't play today. North is a very nice place to watch a ball game, and that's a very important ball game between two pretty good teams.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah, so that's worth checking out at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And if you can't make it out there, Trevor, you're going to have video highlights tonight, and you're going to have updates on the BVarsity Twitter account all afternoon as well.
You know it.
So moving on, we will go into the SSL, where Wasco undefeated. And you always think of BCHS as a baseball power in this league, but there always seems to be at least one other team. In past years, it's been Taft or Shafter. This year, it's Wasco that competes with the Eagles and in many cases beats the Eagles, and obviously Arvin is up there as well.
Lalo Barraza really kind of doing it. Once again, you like to see these smaller schools that are getting these guys that are doing it, every which way. And Lalo Barraza, he's batting .469 this year. He's got a 1.24 ERA, really kind of doing it all. Zach Sullivan's right there. He's 6-0 with a 1.20 ERA for the Tigers. And so Wasco, a team that beat BCHS last week to stay undefeated in league, will play next week again against Taft. And it'll be really interesting to see and kind of see how, if they can continue this streak, because when we look at it, we'll get into softball in just a little bit. Wasco really is the cream of the crop when it comes to the SSL.
Yeah, and right now there's certainly been that 7-0. They don't play the full 15-game league schedule there. I believe they play 12.
You're correct.
Just 2 against each team instead of 3. So anyway, baseball, softball, the seedings are coming up 2 weeks from Saturday already. So, get ready for that. Or softball's Friday seeding, I believe. And then baseball Saturday. But 2 weekends from this weekend, you will have seeding. You'll have brackets for baseball and softball, and then Well, 3 weeks from right now, we'll be playing quarterfinals in those sports on Thursday and Friday that week.
In a blink.
It goes by very quickly. Speaking of softball, let's move on to that before we go to the break. Now, am I okay moving on to softball now?
Yeah, go ahead.
You mean okay? We're good. All right, we're on the same wavelength now.
I'll give you a specific traffic signal.
And Stockdale undefeated. We're giving each other signals, and nobody can even see us. That's how
Nobody
big of
wants
nerds
to
we
see
are.
it.
Yeah.
Again,
So, Stockdale just rolling people. Well, not always rolling people,
Not
but
always
just
rolling,
they're finding
but,
ways to win.
You know, they finally lost their first game of the season against Huntington Beach Saturday morning at 9:30 in the Arroyo Grande tournament. They had been 22-0 going in, lost Huntington Beach, turned around, won their final game of the four-game tournament in Arroyo Grande, came back, and then yesterday had a game against Frontier, 2-1 victory over the Titans to stay undefeated in league. They've now won 31 consecutive SWIL games. Stockdale still the number one team. We'll get into Nick Papagni about exactly, what to expect now that Central's beaten Clovis and, the track's kind of beating up on each other. How well Stockdale can do this year now that we're getting closer to the end of the regular season.
Do we have an update on their state and national rankings? Do we have new after the loss?
I know that they dropped to 13th in Cal High's state rankings, so they dropped 7 spots from number 6. I have not seen. I think they're out of the excellent 25, which is such a shame that you lose one game.
Yeah. But when you're talking nationally,
I know when you're talking nationally, you got to win them all. But it was 9:30 in the morning on a Saturday. These girls were out on the beach, and I'm not saying that Huntington Beach didn't do that, but Huntington Beach
is used to that. Yeah,
lives on the beach.
Well, and look, nobody's making excuses. They lost the game. They lost the game. But it is a case of they didn't lose to another national top 25 team. Huntington Beach, a good team, not that good. And so you can see other national top 25 teams don't lose games like that very often, and it's a harsh world once you're up at that level nationally. So
and there's. You can't sneeze on Liberty either. That's a team that's 7-3. Their only 3 losses in league are to Stockdale in the SWIL. So that Liberty team getting Kylie Fahey back is going to do a lot of good things in the playoffs and could really kind of shock some teams because, that's a really, really good Talia Nielsen and Kylie Fahey both in the circle for Liberty. It could be really shocking. Ryan Peterson, I think, is going to be back. So her and Jess Soto coaching them. I think that's a good coaching staff, too, that are going to do a lot of good things. Let's move on to the SYL.
And you want to talk about good league races. This is up there with SEYL baseball. 9-1, 8-2, 8-2. Look at that. And those 3 teams are going to have a battle royale over the
and
next
they're going to all play
weeks.
each other within the last 2 weeks of the season. So it'll be really interesting to see how that all kind of shakes out. We'll get more into the central section. But when you look at it, we'll get more into it. Those are top teams in Division II and Division III that are really going to play a big role in playoffs this year when it finally comes down to the championships at Fresno State. We got a few more minutes, so let's get into the other 2 leagues around town. In the SEYL Highland, once again, and North atop the SEYL, much like in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be a battle between those 2 schools. I know we got a big one coming up, I think, May 5th. So next Friday or Thursday.
Friday.
Yeah, next Friday will be a big one between those 2 schools. So,
and I'll tell you what, you want to see some big scores. I think North won its game at Miramonte on Tuesday, 22-17. That's not unusual for them. Maybe not quite that high, but they can really
just like
swing
North
it.
and Miramonte in baseball yesterday.
And they're
2
missing
days
the
ago,
pitching. Yeah.
Yesterday, it was a 12-11 win for North. So, you see these scores, just mammoth type scores.
As the weather gets warmer, the ball starts flying. And then in the SSL for softball, Taft has long been the Queens of the Mountain there, but they got some company. Wasco beat them the first time around, and Wasco's in the driver's seat right now.
Samantha Martinez, that's the thing about softball compared to baseball. Is if you got an ace and you could throw her out there every game and she shuts down like she does, it's really interesting. 89 innings this year. ERA of 1.18. She's 15-1, like Sydney Hornbuckle over at Stockdale. Great.
How many Ks in those 89 innings? Do we know that? It's like 150-something, isn't it? It's almost 2 per inning.
Did I put Ks down? I don't think I did strikeouts for softball. That's my bad.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
No, but I really do think, I don't know the exact number, but Samantha Martinez right up there with almost 2 Ks per inning, where how are you supposed to get any offense going when you're striking out twice an inning? It makes it very, very difficult when you can only put a ball in play or 2 per inning. So let's take a break. We're glad to get through some baseball and softball. We're going to talk to Nick Papagni next and kind of get his look at a section-wide view of those sports. And then the second half of the show, we'll move into some other sports with some track, some swimming, some tennis, and some golf. And we will be right back with that here on BVarsity Live.